Nation, welcome to the Bear Report. As I've said before, I am cautious to take at face value either side in a political dispute. But since I've made a habit of exposing dog whistle politics, let's pull the cover off of the common current racist tidbit phrase, the rule of law. Throughout the history of Canada and British North America, the so-called rule of law has been incredibly one-sided for a nation whose founding principles are peace, order, and good government, and whose legal system uses a living tree doctrine, one that should evolve with the times for the sake of fairness and justice. Too often, when dealing with the Indigenous people of Canada, the rule of law is used as an excuse to violate treaties just because those documents are inconveniencing white people. I mean, do any of these sound like a just society to you? Until 1951, the rule of law prohibited First Nations from hiring lawyers to protect their rights. Seriously? Until 1951, the rule of law required First Nations people to get permission from the local Indian agent if they wanted to leave their reserve or get a job. A job! From the late 1950s until well into the 1980s, the rule of law enabled the federal and provincial governments to steal an estimated 20,000 Indigenous children from their families, sometimes to be sold. Yes, sold to white families in urban centers. Until 1994, the rule of law mandated that many Indigenous people be sent to residential schools, where many were beaten, abused, and had their language and culture stolen from them. In 1988 and 1995, the rule of law led to police killing J.J. Harper and Dudley George, just two of the countless Indigenous people killed by police in Canada's history. In 2018, the rule of law allowed Canada's youth jails to be filled with nearly 50% Indigenous people, despite Indigenous people being only 8% of the population. Most recently, the rule of law was being used to justify ignoring the laws of the Wetaskiwin government and to crack down on protesters across the country, expressing their concern with the federal government's conduct on First Nation land management. Well, there is an argument that some of the decision makers on the Indigenous side are simply using this opportunity to enrich themselves. Enrichment is what the other side has been all about. And yes, it's unfair that everyone in the middle is inconvenient for a while. But all of this is temporary for us and a continuing history of permanent injustice for them. In short, anyone angry about this needs to settle down, Bilbo, and let the process work. Otherwise, go ahead and add your name to the above list of historic injustices against people who were doing okay here before our ancestors arrived and said, hey, nice place you got here. Mind if we take it? And now this.